I'm gonna open up these map feedbacks. And you guys are gonna check this out with me. So as many of you are aware, I made a map called CP Explorer. And this map was put into the RGL Experimental Cup like a week or two ago. So a lot of people actually ended up playing this map in 6v6. Some high-level players as well, which is cool. I designed this map from scratch, and I slapped on some basic textures so that it would at least look like a map. I left a couple areas untextured. Maybe I shouldn't have. But yeah, a bunch of people ended up playing the map, so I collected some feedback, and I'm going to look at that stuff right now. So there's a lot of feedback. I'll try and skim through it relatively quickly, but let's see. Second point feels like it's in the wrong spot. Mid feels broken for scouts. Second feels awful for some reason I can't pinpoint. Not very specific. Mid feels broken for scouts. I mean, usually that means scouts control the high ground. Maybe soldiers don't feel like they have enough positioning. But not super specific. Sharp turn between mid and second creates a lot of confusion. That seems like maybe a inexperience issue. That's the thing. A lot of people saw this map for the first time. Second point could be cleaned up. It's kind of confusing. It makes it spam hell. Hard to sack into or out of. Second point could be cleaned up. I mean, I can agree to some extent. Kind of confusing. I can definitely agree with that. There's a lot of routes. Spam hell, maybe. I mean, that's sort of what I want on the point, at least, is sort of that tug of war. Hard to sack into or out of. That one I personally would have to disagree with or like question, because I specifically designed this passage right here to be like the ultimate sacking route. Because unlike any other map in the game, if you use this, you can sack in like from the middle of the area, which no other map ever gives you that much kind of access, especially unseen. So I feel like this area is underutilized. If you're trying to sack, I do question if people use that or not. And it does go both ways. In addition, I created an entire like flank area that is separated from the rest of like the map and gives you the ability to go behind and like go for long flanks. So that one, I feel like map knowledge goes a long way, but I specifically wanted to create playmaking routes on this map. So I don't know. Can one explosive class lock out that route? Well, if you're going to lock out every route, you're going to have to be spread pretty thin, and then that's going to create isolated players that maybe you can, you know, sack into. So that's kind of how I see it. Too big of a map for sixes. That one, I also am a little curious about, because I feel like the map isn't that big. And I specifically tried to make the map not that big. But there are certain areas that maybe could be reduced slightly. Like the distance across last, maybe mid. I don't know. Nice map. You know, it's nice to see some positive feedback, but it's a little vague. Push out of mid into second is broken. Mid is weird. Last is too big. Mid is weird. Not very specific. Last is too big. Also not that specific. Push out of mid into second is broken. So it's too easy to exit mid and push second. Interesting. Second point is a bit chaotic. Mid feels claustrophobic. Don't have much to say. We didn't get a lot of time. Mid is claustrophobic. I mean, it's probably true. My map was heavily inspired by Granary, which is the most claustrophobic mid of all time, because you literally are blind everywhere you go. But that's kind of the point. In the feedback portion of the previous maps, a few of them were unfinished. This one feels unfinished, in need of an art pass. Unfortunately, the map is, you know, it just has placeholder graphics, so I'm kind of not worried about that. The layout was strong and enjoyable for a map in alpha. Second in particular was interesting. Has a yard area preceding the point, but doesn't create a large gap that it feels like a 7 CP map. I wouldn't say the map is ready to enter the map pool yet, but it looks promising. So yeah, it does have a yard area. Granary has a yard. And I tried to make it so that the yard was like connected to the point so that it didn't feel unnecessary. And it felt like it was kind of a viable area to actually like fight for and stuff. So yeah. And it's not like super, super huge. You'll see that if you look at it specifically from like this angle, the front of the yard is like actually quite narrow. It's not super deep. So once you get here, it's like, okay, you're fighting the point and you're in mid-range. Something like snake water, you know? Like you dry push yard and boom, you're like already walking up towards the point. So I tried to kind of emulate something you'd see on like Badlands, snake water, but then also merge that with sort of the granary style. Let's keep going. Let's see. I was running around in a maze when I played it bad. I was running around in a maze. There's a lot of routes. So, you know, if you're unfamiliar with a map, it can feel that way. I wish that they were more specific about which areas they felt were like overly complicated, because simplification is always something that I'm interested in doing if possible. The rollouts for both trimping and explosive jumping could use some work. I'm not sure if I would ever design a map to have trimping rollouts, but I am a little surprised by some of the like the explosive rollout complaints, because specifically if you look here, like you jump through here and then you can like fly into mid, you know, pretty easily through there. The demo man rollout, maybe people are not like, since they say trimping, maybe they're a demo man player. I think a lot of people want to just like maybe jump like that. This thing might hit them. I could honestly reduce the width of that thing. It is fairly wide, honestly. So that might help. Otherwise, they might be just jumping off the ground and then they're not hitting like a ramp slide, which, you know, the spacing wise, I could understand that. I think if you put a sticky on like this wall, you could slide up this a little bit, but the actual rollout that I sort of envisioned for this was more of a pogo, which is unconventional, but it is how you get the smoothest and most comfortable rollout here, because you get a lot more speed. You do have to do a tight strafe there to get around that corner, but if you hit it correctly, you can really go deep, like up to here. And then from here, you do like the Badlands drop down jump and you go to mid. So I do think if more people knew the rollouts, they might feel differently. And then on the next spawn, I mean, it's just a simple jump on demo. You just jump to whichever door you want. But then on soldier, you should be able to like, you should be able to skip jump off of that bridge. Let me turn on cheats. But then the next spawn is probably the one that I could definitely see where they're coming from. If you spawn here, you know, you jump off that, you pogo off that, you could get anywhere you want. But then there is a spawn that is inside. This one's inside of a doorway. You know, maybe if you're rolling out here and you like want to jump forward, that health pack might be a little inconvenient. So you arrive here with no health pack to secure. That could be something that people are feeling. So something maybe to look at is like the flow out of this spawn. I don't particularly like that you spawn and then you have to like do a 90-degree turn, but I'm not sure if I know a better spot for this. Bagu, hello. But yeah, let's look at the rest of this feedback. Textures need to be finished. True. There's going to be an insane art pass on my map. Like, the mappers are going to make something so different. All right, here's the next one. The map was okay. I can see what you're going for with second, having a lot of options for the attacking team, putting defenders in a somewhat uncomfortable spot away from the point on purpose. Positionally, where to play on disad on this map did not feel intuitive. Last was similar to Sultry, that you get held in spawn. And second was too easy to get wrapped or caught to add pushes. So that is one of the big, like, wildcards of this map, is the second point wrapping possibilities. Basically, the fact that you can take this side of lobby and you can bypass second and go all the way around here, it is pretty effective. However, again, I anticipated that and designed around it. Like, you do have to cross, like, in the open through here. Maybe there's too much cover. Maybe the gap is too narrow that, like, it's too safe to cross. I wish I didn't have to put this pillar here. I really don't like it. But without it, there's a sniper sightline right here. So, I wish I had another solution that did not necessitate this pillar. If I could come up with one, I would love to put one. So yeah, if you were trying to wrap here with add, you could get forced right here. And then you're just in the flank with no kills. So that was part of what I was going for. You're also at a slight height disadvantage right here and a severe height disadvantage right here. And then the next thing is that you have to commit in order to get up through the flank. You have to commit all the way here to the very end of the hallway to like go for the wrap. And by the time you get here, you're in like 100 damage rocket range, and you could get shot down like and forced this whole way. And there's like traps and stuff. So I did try to balance that out. Obviously, there's the drop down, which if you could get through here, it would be amazing, but medic can't get in there. So I think that it might just be like one of the wild cards. Because the other thing is that people are used to kind of playing together, like as a blob. But on this map, you might need to have like someone off on the flank kind of patrolling in order to prevent someone from just getting through here alone, or, you know, get the force here, things like that. Which is, you know, more like Granary or Badlands, which is what this map is mostly inspired by. Instead of a pillar, maybe a proximity gate. A gate. Okay, interesting. Glass. Something see-through. That would solve the problem partially, for sure. Is there no other way to block the sightline? Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure there is another way. I just couldn't think of it in time to publish this map, so I would love to put something else there. And I'm actually thinking about making other changes to this map based on the feedback that you guys are hearing, which could lead to this not being necessary. There's a version of this map that had barrels. Like, it had another barrel, like, right there. But if you're up here, you can see over the barrels. That's the problem. So I'll explain later how I might be able to work around it. But yeah. You can see the claustrophobia issues. Yeah. I think I would like to be able to open up maybe this area in particular. I think 3 pillars is maybe too much. I think if I could eliminate this pillar and this wall, second would feel a lot more open. And you wouldn't feel like you're just like in trenches down here. I do like these pillars, but I want to make this area more open probably. So that would be something I'm going to work on. But I'll explain where I'm coming from. All right, let's get the next feedback. Oh, you get held in spawn. Okay, this one, I don't know what to do about. I'm trying to look at this. You get held in spawn. So I'm trying to think if there's any last where you don't get held in spawn. Like, I feel like these doors are fairly far apart. So it should be difficult for someone to, like, hold both of them. But you do kind of just turn this corner and you're, like, immediately in a spam section. So the spawn is a little bit tricky. Something I could potentially do is take the spawn and, like, push the door back so that you have the opening hidden behind this section of the wall. And that could give you a little bit more ability to like bomb out of the spawn before they can see you. It would make the rollout a little bit more awkward though, because you have to turn a corner before you can roll out. And yeah, I don't know if that's worth it. Besides that, I mean, the doorways could be turned 90 degrees potentially to be facing forward. But that would improve the sniper sightlines from the spawn a little bit. So, yeah. I'm not sure what to do about that. elevate the spawn and make it a drop down. On last, I think that's a little odd because people usually want to go back in spawn, but one of the spawns could be elevated potentially. One of them could be just the default like rollout, and one could be elevated. I'm trying to think about lasts that have like different spawn doors. Sunshine, one of the spawns you spawn in like a little pit and you have to climb stairs. That's kind of unique. Any other last that has like a unique spawn door? I mean, Granary, you spawn and then there's a wall in front of your spawn door. That's kind of unique. And Granary definitely has like a designated rollout spawn door. So the other one is like much more blocked. Metalworks has one enclosed spawn and one open spawn. The enclosed one is definitely like the we're getting spawn camped. Fucking go for the desperation spawn kind of one. Did this in a sub pug, it looks more open. Yeah, I've changed it a bit and textured it. But I'll have to think about the spawn situation. Alright, let's keep going. It's a maze with dead ends and empty rooms. Dead ends and empty rooms. So I had to think about this one a little bit, and I'm like, where's a dead end? I mean, this is a little cubby, but it's a hiding spot. Okay, it's a dead end. This one is a cubby as well. It's a dead end. I'm thinking about eliminating this one, actually. I have literally never seen anyone use it, which makes me sad, because I always theory crafted that like a medic would want to bunker in here. But I've quite literally never seen anyone go in there. So I'm probably going to close this off. This is potentially a little bit of a dead end. I don't know. It's like if you miss the ramp or if you fall down, you're kind of stuck. But I don't know what else you could do to like prevent that. I mean, you could make the ramp span the whole width. But that feels kind of newbie. I don't know. What's another dead end? I mean, this little platform, I guess it doesn't lead anywhere unless you jump up here. What else is a dead end? I feel like everything else leads somewhere. Like, there's these little walls that you crash into. I don't know if that's what they're talking about. I wish they were more specific. Sometimes it does feel like maybe people don't grasp the layout, which I can understand. Like, there is a lot of overlap and like different routes that like weave together, I guess. Health pack left of the ramp, like in Harvest. Like in Harvest. Harvest left of the ramp? Health pack? I'm trying to think. Where is that on Harvest? I'm blanking. Granary has a little health pack down here. You mean Powerhouse? Oh. Powerhouse, like in the flank room, there's a health pack, and then you go up and you go through the bridge. That thing? Maybe? On mid. The bottle by the tractor? I don't think that's applicable here, but I like that health pack on Harvest. A lot of my health packs are kind of like that. They're kind of in the open. What I don't like about Harvest health packs is the ones that are in the hallways, and you have to like go inside to get them. Those ones are so inconvenient. Do I have demos of people playing the map? Yeah, there's tons. If you go to demos.tf, you can search for the map and you can find it. I haven't actually watched a lot of demos. I asked the admin if they could tell me whose matches the feedback came from, because I want to be able to watch the games from people that have these like really strong complaints, and to see if they were like misplaying the map or if they were like trolling, if they were throwing. That is one of the things about this feedback, that it's kind of difficult to like take it super straightforwardly, because you can't see the gameplay, you know? And I think they protect the anonymity of the feedbackers, but if I just have to start watching random demos and trying to piece things together, which could be very insightful, you know? Okay, let's keep going. Limited experience, played on a bad team on the map, Second is unintuitive to hold. Very pressure cookable. That is true. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's hard to tell what you should hold at an eye's glance. So that's the second person, maybe the third person that said like holding second feels uncomfortable. It's too unfinished. Needs more rollouts and spots to gain speed. Needs more rollouts and spots to gain speed. I think they're just saying they wish they could like fling jump into mid. That's kind of how I read that there's not enough rollouts. They want like a process fling jump. Maybe, I don't know. Because there are quite a few different routes. And when I've seen people play the map properly, or not, I mean, properly in quotes, the map is not by any means like, the meta is not developed, but people have found a lot of value in like lurking a soldier like down here, you know, so that he can bomb from like a blind angle like this into the choke. People have also had a lot of success having a soldier roll out this choke and wrap the flank and like take a fight in here. So I do feel like there's a good number of rollouts. And timing wise, you should arrive at both like relatively similar. This high ground, you know, is also a thing people can utilize, but yeah. Layout confusion could be mitigated by art. That is true. I do think some areas, like for example, this area in here, I kind of wanted it to have a distinct style. That's why I made it into like a concrete bunker. And I was kind of hoping people would call it bunker or whatever. But I should have put like maybe a more distinct prop in here. This gas tank maybe isn't enough. Like literally on Snakewater you have saw room just because there's one saw blade. Sewer used to look like a sewer, so like if this gets art passed properly, it might allow people to call it something in particular. I did make this area have a rock texture, and I feel like it turned it into cave. And this used to not be cave, it used to just be choke, but I feel like this became cave when I added this texture. So yeah, the art pass can definitely transform people's perception of the map and how easy it is to distinguish different areas. I do think the last looks pretty generic texture-wise compared to mid. And I think that that could also lead to people feeling confused because the same textures outside are inside and it's like, where the fuck am I? So that's probably my bad. Because I am not an artist. I am a TF2 layout aficionado. Okay, keep going. More rollouts to gain speed. That one, I don't know. The map is confusing. I got lost trying to make my way from spawn to mid. I could see that for the one where you have to do the 90-degree turn. The other ones, I feel like once you learn it, you shouldn't get lost. Maybe. I'd love to see a complete art pass of the map. True. It was the best in the cup. That's high praise. It'd be nice to see the dirt ramps not be jagged. Agreed. Those should be displacements, but I'm a noob, so I don't know how to do that yet. The random cubby in the courtyard in second feels unmotivated and kind of random. Yeah. I'm going to eliminate it. I think I've decided. So that's good specific feedback. I love the large amount of flank options and hiding spots. Yep, definitely something I was going for. It kept our combo on our toes and gave us a lot of great wrap Ubers when you had ad, but didn't make it feel unfair when on disad. Okay, cool. I like the 7 CP feel of the map and the second point. I mean, there is a yard, yes. For improvements, the biggest thing is the walls need to be higher on mid. I've heard this a lot. I've been hesitant to do it because I find high bombing to be so brain dead that I don't want it to be possible at all times. So I have tried to limit it to some extent, but I could probably keep it under control, but improve it slightly. So for example, on mid right now, there's this wall, which is like the designated high bomb wall that I put there specifically for that. But I think that a lot of soldiers want to be able to like jump here and jump off this wall. So I'm potentially going to raise a section of this wall up so that you can do a high bomb this way as well. However, I don't want to make every wall so high bombable that you can high bomb from any position on the map. If you look at a map like Sunshine, you'll actually notice that not every wall is high bombable. You can jump off walls and go horizontally, but to the skybox, no. And I think there have been too many maps where skybox jumping at every section of the map is too easy. There's a map called Propaganda that used to have that, and I felt like it was one of the biggest flaws of the map. Because that does have tremendous consequences for how easy it is to, like, actually hold things, is if the skybox is too viable, you can't hold anything. So, something to keep in mind. Alright, let's keep going. One sec. Hello, Toxic Sam. Alright, let's keep going. Walls higher on mid. You should be able to bomb off of bats, but you're limited to using one rocket, making it guaranteed to get denied by scouts. The wall is too short when doing a left-handed wall shot bomb from the rollout choke. Other walls would hide the ugly render optimization. That's just because I'm a noob. But okay. Moving on. The map was fun to play. The verticality of the bridge on second is cool. Okay, nice. The point being at the entry to lobby is interesting. Map needs a visual touch-up. Yes. But it plays well. Okay. Yes. Cool. Confusing mess of a map. Mid is far too small. Feels like a shrunk version of what it's supposed to be. Even then, it's a boring layout that leads to uninteresting mid fights where both teams spam trade until one soldier kills 4 people because of how small everything is. Damn. Isn't it interesting how you can go from, like, one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum? I found that so interesting, how polarizing the feedback is. Some people say it's, like, the best map that they played, and some people say it's the worst map they've ever played. We're so back, it's so over. Exactly. It's really interesting. So, like, this one, for example, it's like, I want to see the demo. I want to see this guy play the map. If they say that it's, like, a mess, the mid is horrible, I want to see that gameplay. But I can't. Okay, continuing, though. Second, I will say, I like the idea of the half wall above the point. Like Granary second, but there's too many entries into the lobby from the attacker side. Last wasn't bad, but the top right entrance being not flush with the floor makes it awkward and borderline unusable. Okay, this one was interesting. I actually got so many people commenting on this from our playtests, and I was intrigued. So they're saying that this entrance being a window makes it unusable. And I wonder what they mean by that. I really don't understand, because you can still just pogo right through it. You can still just walk right through it. I put a little, you know, ramp, an invisible ramp, but it does not block splash or anything. Like, you can still splash this. So I don't quite understand that. Why does this draw so much attention? It's a window, but it's also a door. I don't know. Maybe I just committed too much to the visual styling of it, but I felt like it was not a problem. So I was always confused by that. Why would this be unusable? The way I see it is that this is the best entrance on the last, so it should be high risk, high reward. That's like the principle for all of my, like, that's one of the underlying pillars of all my designs, is like, if you want the best positioning, there's a risk involved, or there's a trade-off, you know? And I was even kind enough to block every sightline from snipers when you're standing here. I was so nice. Look at this. There's a crate that blocks that spawn door. There's a giant vent that blocks that spawn door. Like, it's a small door, but once you get through, you have a powerful position. So, I don't know. This one, I need to hear a more elaborate feedback on, because I've heard it so much, but I just feel like people don't get it. Let's see what else. Too many entries into lobby. Mid is too small and uninteresting. A soldier kills 4 people. Isn't it interesting that we've had people say soldiers just get 4Ks every mid, and then we've also had people say mid is impossible and dominated by scouts. That's so interesting. I don't know. Okay. Let's keep going. Second point is too confusing and it's maze-like for its own good. Second person who said, or maybe third, fourth person. Okay, so second, being more simple, could be a thing to look for. Too many entrances into last to hold properly. Too many entrances into last. Interesting. So there's 4 entrances into last. A map like Process notoriously has 5 entrances. Snakewater also has 4 doorways. Sunshine has 3 doorways. Gullywash has 5 doorways. Metalworks has 4 doorways. I don't know. I wonder, I feel like the map would not work with 3 entrances. That's the thing. Have I looked at the logs? I have no information about which games this feedback corresponds to. This was all anonymously compiled by RGL after the map test tournament, and they sent it to me. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't see it. Can't see the logs or the demos for each corresponding feedback. The map should have an art pass before getting accepted for a map cup. I mean, it had some textures. An art overhaul, it would be perfect. Fun mid, super fun mid, and second point, interesting flank and transitions. Last point is strange but fun. Nice. Mid feels a tad bit too cramped with how close the boxes are. The second is interesting. Mid is cramped. Okay. Map needs to be shrunk. They think the map is too big. It's maybe the second or third person who said that. Okay, now mid is way too strong for scouts, while soldiers just flank on the sides. Second point is impossible to hold because there's too many flanks to watch. While they can edge the point from outside, it's better to give it up. Mid turns into a series of 1v1s because of the amount of clutter, and the medic doesn't have anywhere to easily surf to because of how long the doorway is to mid. In the current state, it's unenjoyable. The rollout feels awkward on blast classes as well. This one's very critical, very negative. Mid is too strong for scouts. That is something that I do want to try and tackle. Soldiers flank on the sides. So more options for soldiers on the mid. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Let's see what else. Second is impossible because there's too many flanks to watch. Too many flanks to watch. Flank is a very difficult area to control. I definitely can see that. But I tried to make it possible. Basically, here's what I was hoping was people would try and do on this map. There's this entire giant hallway, right? That is essentially the flank. And from here, you can dive through here. You can wrap through here. You can come through the drop down. You can push through here. I was basically hoping people would just park a soldier right here. From here, he can see people through the grate. So he can splash this if anyone tries to jump up. He can control people coming through the window right here. And if people shove underneath him, he can splash this ramp. And if needed, he can just fall back. And then he can park himself right here. And they still would have to get through a soldier in a doorway in order to get anything on the flank. He can even put rockets into this. He can watch this through the window. He can play like a fucking European, literally just parking right here like a rocket sentry. I guess he could get cross spam from the point, but I think that that is an interesting tactic because if this guy is a problem for your flank, maybe now you need to play aggressive on the point so you can shoot this guy in the back, which then creates openings and you're like setting up your flank by pressuring from your combo, you know, stuff like that I think is interesting. But yeah, I wonder how they were trying to hold the flank. That's what I want to know. I wish I could get the demo. You sit here as a soldier. You could sit even like more passive like this. And you just hit people as they try to get to this ramp. Or, you know, deny them from getting to your last. And then you can just jump back here and reunite with your team. And boom, you're good. So I really am curious about that one. Why it was so difficult for them to hold flanks. I guess we'll never know. If your team doesn't know how to deal with scouts, they're going to feel strong in a mid. Yeah, for sure. Is A19A the current version? Yes, it is. If all of these are sample size of less than 5 matches played, it can't be taken very seriously. Yeah, there isn't a lot of experience that anyone would have had, unfortunately. Only a few playthroughs. Play with and against a variety of teams. Yeah, for sure. But there is a certain amount of like design that should go into a map that makes it feel intuitive if you know other maps. So that's something that you should strive for when you're designing a map. Okay. What else? Medic doesn't have anywhere to go on mid because of the doorway. That is something that I am a little bit kind of torn on for sure. So if I'm a medic and I'm in the corner of mid, there's not a lot of places that are super comfortable to go. So like I can just sit here and I can heal people. And if I get bombed, I can back up into this cave. But I do think a medic moving out of this corner is something that I would like to encourage. A medic can obviously jump on this shed to get like a little bit better positioning, and then that opens up all the surfing possibilities. A medic can move down this way and then like heal from the outskirts, get this pack, can, you know, climb onto this stuff. This was all designed to be jumpable as a medic, so that you can like jump around and like move forward, aggro. A medic could, I don't think anyone knows this, but I created this, this jump. Wait, I think it's still in this version. Maybe it's not. Maybe I removed it. Hold on. Can a medic hit that? I swear a medic can hit that jump. I've only practiced this in third person, though. It might not be possible anymore, actually. But you used to be able to jump across there as a medic. You definitely could with scout speed, though. So maybe that is no longer in this because I used to have crates, and I think they were a bit bigger. I think I shrunk them down. Okay. So that jump is no longer possible. But I don't know if a medic would be doing that on a mid. A medic could come up here. You can hit the jump from this side. That much I know for sure. But if a medic went up top here, I mean, he can surf anywhere if he wanted to. Yeah, I don't know. A B-hop? Yeah, maybe a B-hop would be good. A medic could dive down this way and then, like, bunker inside here. But, yeah. I do see where they're coming from if a medic just feels trapped in this corner. You kind of have to get out with a lot of confidence if you want to. Trying to think what would make a medic feel more comfortable getting out of the corner, though. Like, a mini health pack definitely would probably... yeah, feel like a nice incentive. I don't know if a medic would want more, like... I'm trying to think if more openness would really do it, though. I do wonder if this fence needs to be a double fence. Because really the point of the fence was to block sniper sight lines. And it does a really good job of that. But if you only had this square of the fence, you would be able to peek the choke and not get sniped from the enemy choke, at the very least. But you would be snipeable from this ramp. You wouldn't have the front section, which is not ideal. So I do wonder if this makes it feel partly like there's not as much surfing opportunity because you are walled off right here. If that wall wasn't there, I mean, you could just surf forward pretty easily. Ben, you made a CTF map for Unreal Tournament. After a pug, you got polarized feedback. You went to look at the score. One team won 0-7 in 6 minutes. The winning team had good feedback. Or positive feedback. Oh, yeah. No matter where you go, you're leaving the high ground. Yeah, that is true. You start on the high ground and you kind of have to descend. I did have a concept of this map. I don't know if I ever compiled it. Let me see if I have it. Is this the concept? Maybe it is. This might be the whack-ass concept. This is the one that I feel like is more palatable, that people would like more. But, oh no, it's not. Damn, I think I overwrote it. Hold on. A19 or A18. I don't know if I have a version that has the change that I'm talking about. Low pro grade. Things are going alright, man. Let me see, though, if I have it. the old flat texture version. No, not this one. I never released A18, I don't think, so I might not have a version that actually has the idea in it. But essentially the idea was that the choke would be more open, like Process or Sunshine. And, oh, here it is. Look. Yeah, this is the concept. This is the map concept. So, instead of a cave, you'd basically have like a more open choke that's kind of just like you're either in or you're out type thing, instead of there's like being a transition in between. And that would eliminate the cave so that you have like a place to go up here. And I actually like it a lot, to be honest. So I could see myself bringing this back. I never play tested it though. The problem I see with this is that I think it would just kind of make the mid too brain dead. I don't know. Like you just walk up the ramp always as a demo, as a scout. Like you're just always up here. And it just feels too easy. I want there to be some like difficult decisions and difficult choices, you know? And this is also a little narrow right here, but you could probably get away with that if it was like a proper displacement. I don't think it's too narrow. Kind of like this corner as well. You could put traps there and stuff. But this is definitely more like modern TF2 map design, you know? Could the cave lead to that high ground overlooking mid through a tight passage? Could the cave lead to that high ground overlooking mid through a tight passage? So you're saying like, instead of it being like a full room, there would just be like a narrow kind of walkway, like stairwell kind of thing. I can kind of envision it where essentially like you would wall this in so that you're either up the ramp or you're like hugging a wall and this is just all blocked in. I think that that could work. So it would definitely make people hate going up this. It would increase the risk tremendously because you would just get nuked if there's a soldier at the top. So yeah, I don't know. It's an idea for sure, if that's what you're talking about. Roster. Patty, question mark? Yes, we have Patty, aka Chatty. Would Witness EU do good on LAN? Probably. European teams are the most unfun teams to play against because they play to win in the most like slow and low risk way possible. So that generally just unfortunately leads to teams that aren't capable of dealing with it crumbling. EU rule set sucks. Yes, it does. But thankfully for the LAN that is next week with the Euros, it will be played on pro config, at least during the, you know, the elimination bracket. So it will have the overtime extension rule. The idea is what I already had. Didn't get a good view. Oh, I see. This old one. I mean, it could be like this, but with like maybe a fence in front of it. You know, it's hard to make a ramp uncomfortable to use. But like if there was like a fence here, kind of like catwalk or bats on Viaduct, Pro Viaduct. Actually, that's like my other map, Torment. What is this? What version? 13? That one I have a ramp with a fence on it, literally. Maybe that's just one of my gimmicks.
Stand on the freaking
Right here.
moron.
This map I will develop next. I think it's got a lot of potential as well. But anyways, let's get back to the feedback. EU versus NA LAN, yes. The LAN next weekend is in Denver, Colorado. All the top teams in North America will be there, as well as the best teams from Europe and Australia. They're each sending one representative. So, yeah. All right, let's keep going. It needs to be finished texture-wise. Map plays feels like a mix of granary and modern maps. True. Hope it gets more play. I hope so too. Shutter on spawn should be see-through. Maybe that would help to prevent the spawn camping. Having better glass. There's no glass to see out of the spawn. Yeah, that's probably mandatory. Like process and sunshine. Agreed. If you could see out of the spawn, I think that would change a lot about how people feel about the map. Hard for soldiers to sack when pushing into second. That one I don't agree with. Again, jump through lower lobby, into the flank, jump through the drop down, skybox bomb onto the point and jump through. I feel like there's a lot of ways to sack if you're creative, hopefully. Make the left wall on far right taller for easier high bomb. I think he's talking about into mid, which I could see that. Forwards on second's a little strong for sniper because it forces players to go through camp doorways for extended periods of time compared to something like process or sunshine. Okay, so the forward spawn sightline. Let's see. Oops, wrong version. Is there a site for the LAN event? Yeah, there is. Let me find it. Fireside casts. I think the website is actually, I don't know what kind of website you're looking for. I guess this firesidecast.tv. They have an FAQ rule set and team spreadsheet. So you can check that out. And if you want to donate to the LAN or something to support the prize pool, you can. And you should be able to find the Twitch link and everything there too. Oh, I was going to show my map again. What was I looking at? Sniper. Okay. I want to look at the sniper sightline out of the spawn and see. I remember there was an annoying fucking moment where I was trying to spawn camp someone and I couldn't fucking kill them because the spawn was too far away. Okay, it's right here though. So if I spawn right here as a sniper, I feel like, okay, so what they're saying is that you're forced to go inside. Basically, oh, I don't want to fuck with that sniper sight line, so I'm going to go indoors. And they're like, well, now you have to go into a super, dangerous enclosed area. The way I feel about this one is, well, for one, I did make this little route here. I didn't realize that you're snipeable from here. So this could be a route that if I modify slightly the geometry, you could completely walk through here and like be unseen to this forward spawn. So I might go for that. Otherwise, I mean, you can obviously just jump onto the high ground and immediately start like spamming this. I see this spawn as more comparable to like Snakewater forwards. Like, yeah, you can shut down all of yard, but if you just start sticking and spamming the door or bombing it, you kind of force him to backspawn. I don't know. There is also this crate, but obviously, the sniper can walk forward. If he's on this side, the crate covers you a little bit, but I think what I need to do actually is make it so that the door opens a little bit shorter, because this was the problem I was having. I was trying to put stickies on this spawn, and there was a guy in here. I was trying to spawn camp him, but I couldn't hit him with my det. Because the spawn opens too far away. So I need it to open like just a couple steps closer. And then that trap will be more deadly, So, yeah. Alright, Quamsy, let's see. You took a look around. Your first impression on the second point was there was a ton going on. It took you 10 minutes to wrap your head around it. Most confusing thing is the bridge that goes over yard feels like it should connect to the drop down, but it doesn't. That's what your brain was expecting. Your brain was expecting that you come through here and then you're going to be inside this flank area. You know, I don't blame you for thinking that because it is very like flank coded. Like it evokes Badlands drop down. This evokes Granary drop down. Like that's what I'm going for. It's like a long, narrow, liminal hallway. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to be in Lunchbox after this. But then you're like in the middle of second. So it's like kind of a mind fuck if that's what you're expecting. And in fact, in like the earliest versions of the map, let's see if this one still has it. That was the case. They did connect. But I had a major problem, which was that it made holding the flank impossible. Because you have to manage a drop down or like a shutter. And you also have to manage a this. So you can see here, I don't know, this is a weird ass version of the map, but basically on this one you'd come through the drop down and then you could drop into the flank like this. But I thought this fight was so bad because if a soldier's in there, he's just gonna nuke you right here. So there's no like winning that fight. So you would just have to concede it. So I ended up getting rid of it, unfortunately. I wish I could have kept it, but... And I also liked that it allowed you to be here and then like jump up in here. But I didn't like that if I wanted to encourage people to like sit here and hold forward on the flank, they would be shot in the back by 100 damage rockets that they can't even return fire on. So I had to get rid of it. But yeah. I wish it would have worked, but in practice it was not gonna work. So got rid of it. But yeah, I do think you have to like learn the map. Because it is overwhelming. I only myself was able to grasp it by, or like make it feel not too overwhelming by creating these doorways that like allow you to stand there and funnel things together. So you can sort of just like bundle this all as like, okay, I'm watching the flank from one position instead of being like, how the fuck do I control all of this? It's just like, okay, I can sit here and I can see everything, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's basically what to me simplifies it, is that you need to really think about how things are like connected and how they all kind of funnel into one doorway. So yeah. TF2 will be 20 years old in 2 years. That is insane and scary, and I hope that something happens for the 20-year anniversary of TF2. Where do I imagine this defending combo would play on second disad? Yeah, so you can play a few different ways. You could try to challenge somewhat forward on the yard, but yeah, if they pop through, you would be a little bit far from the exit. So you could kind of play the middle of yard, potentially, kind of like this, and like have people ready to escape. So you could have like a soldier or maybe even a demo man right here and ready to escape. Your medic could be playing on the point like this, ready to escape. And you guys could be spamming down on them. Alternatively, you could play passive indoors. Obviously, if you're playing on the point, there's a big risk of like someone wrapping through here, particularly lower lobby, because if they come through here, they could run straight up at you. So you have to be very quick to like spot them. Maybe even trapping here could be a play. Your demo man trapping the inside flank might be the way to do it, like you would on Gully Wash. You might, or like on Snake Water sometimes the demo traps like lower lobby. And then that would force them to pop through this door, and then you could just escape and juggle them. Alternatively, your med could play to leave here, and you could keep them in front of you at all times. If their combo's on the point, you can't get wrapped, and it's just like a straightforward retreat. If they wrap through the flank, then, you know, this is not safe because they can cut off your exit, but you can always kite forward, and then you can retreat to your last pretty quickly and defend still from here. and kind of pull them on a wild goose chase. So I think tracking the enemy combo is very important. And then you need to like have ideas about what your protocols are going to be if they're wrapping. Because you can retreat this way and keep them, you know, essentially in front of you. And they can't get right on you. You could play down here and retreat out to last through here. And that's going to get you far away from any of the other wrap doorways. You could play just here by default and just like spam from this position to stall the cap. And your med can retreat upper. That's kind of how I would imagine it. But I don't know. A lot of people are saying that they don't feel comfortable on this. Whereas to me, it's like, just play in the exit, you know? It's not that difficult, right? But what I think people want is to be able to play a little bit closer to the point. I think that's what people want. That's what they're used to, is like actually fighting for the point. Whereas on this one, all of these areas around the point are kind of a low ground, no man's land. So I think that what I should try to develop is this section a little bit better. Make this feel a little bit more hospitable and more comfortable to defend from. Because then people would be able to like fight near the point and just kite backwards. As opposed to playing like really far away and spammy or in a trench. I think that's basically what people are experiencing on the map. Hello, friend. Source 2 engine has a leak. There was a TF2 transport and Team Fortress folder. Maybe we get a new game and update. Emphasis on the maybe. I have heard about the TF like letters appearing in Source 2, but I have not heard of any confirmation of any assets whatsoever pertaining to the actual Team Fortress 2 or Team Fortress Source 2 or whatever. You're not a sixes player, but it feels like your team needs to commit to holding yard or behind the point. You'd have to spread thin to watch all the entrances second. Yeah, maybe. What about pipes surrounding second? You can walk up to the point from any angle. Well, I have these pipes that you can walk up to the point from. I also have this, but you do have to jump. If I made there like a ramp or something out here, it could potentially make it feel more comfortable to like stand on this section. Because I don't... Unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot of people use this or this. So that either means that they're just not comfortable to use or people don't realize that you can use them. Because of the way that they're... like the way they look. It's not instantly recognizable as a ramp, you know? Like this one in particular... If I look at this, I would be like, oh, I have to fucking jump on all this. What a fucking nightmare. But in reality, it's just a smooth ramp. So there's a disconnect between the visuals and the actual, like, you know, the practical usage of it. Titanfall, yeah. How long has it been since an update? Well, TF2 has had updates constantly. In fact, there's a couple updates this week, which were actually very important to TF2. Namely, returning communication privileges to free-to-play players, and other bug fixes that remove some exploits and stuff like that. But as far as what people usually consider a major update, 2017 Jungle Inferno was probably the last major update. So, I mean, several years since that. But I still consider all of the updates since then to be good and impactful. You like when maps have something to figure out? Yeah, I think so too. Okay, let's keep going. Let's continue. Shutter on spawn should be see-through. Okay, saw that one. Left wall, okay. Forwards for sniper, okay. When pushing top right into last, you should be able to have a little bit more vision. Because you can just get instigated by a soldier jumping from behind the air vent, and you can only see 20% of the last. I mean, there's a window, and it's good high ground, so we call that a trade-off. Mid is scout heaven, second gives too easy access to flanks. With the rollout drop down, there aren't any spots to hold the point. Okay. Mid is scout heaven. Heard that a few times. Unpolished, but has various areas under stairs where your rockets get eaten. With a polish pass and beauty pass, this is a great map. Oh, nice. Second is extremely interesting. The mid is enjoyable. Second to last transition is your favorite of any map I've ever seen. That's crazy. Someone PM me feedback. I don't know if... I don't know who that is. I got a message from like 2 people. One person showed me a glitch, which is there's a ledge here that's unintended. I don't know if it's only on the blue side or what, but there's a little ledge you can stand on above there. I don't know if that's the person. Someone else that played the tournament did tell me a couple things. Namely about the same thing as actually the previous feedback that I just read, which was this roof. Which was that they felt like contesting the roof was very difficult. Which to me is a win-win, because we have people saying that it's hard to push the roof, and then we have people saying it's hard to hold the roof, and it's hard to contest the roof. And it's like, okay, it's hard for everybody. We call that balance, you know? But one idea that has floated around, and you know, the original inspiration for this, maybe some of you recognize it, a roof with a giant vent. This is inspired by Badwater Basin, and the crate stack is literally copied from Badwater as well. I wanted this to be a Badwater roof moment, but it's too small to have another side around it. What I originally envisioned and hoped for was that the roof would have passages on both sides, but it just became too big and overbearing for a 5 CP map. Whereas the Badwater roof is huge for, you know, 12v12 payload. This one, if I had it... Oh, the other unintended consequence of that was that if there's a passage on this side, you can see right into the spawn. And I did not like that. So, yeah, I ended up not going for it. But one idea is that I could maybe create that passage and like widen this roof. But then create like a stairwell that continuously goes up from here and then gives you the ability to like connect with this so that you'd have 2 routes up onto the high ground. Yeah, I don't know. 64-bit update was huge. Yeah, 64-bit update was huge. Banning bots was huge. There's been a lot of great updates, honestly, for TF2. Do I plan on having anything like Metalworks Batman? I want something like that, but I could never figure that out. The fact that I keep getting people saying that the mid is too hard for soldiers, it makes me want to add something like that, but I don't know where it should go. So usually my sense of things is like, where do soldiers lack options, right? They have a high bomb right here. They have this right here. Like, where could it go? Like up here? There could be like a high ledge, but that would be fucking horrible for pushing into mid because people would just drop down on your head. So I just don't have a good position for it on mid. Maybe like up here it could work in this section because there's fewer doorways directly underneath it. And this was also an area where people said like they felt like they couldn't really bomb that easily. But I think it would be horrible because people, again, they feel like they get stuck in this choke and then a soldier just lands above there and shoots down on them when they can already do that from this ledge. I just don't really think there's a really like obvious position to put something like that. So I'm kind of struggling to think of where one would go. Maybe on last... there could be one. Like, maybe I take this ledge away and I put one, like, way up above, like you can on Metalworks, like sit on that little ledge. I don't know. Maybe one up here. This would be so annoying. Does it come out of spawn? Yeah, I don't know. Make a 5C map predicated on invisible ledges. Maybe. The roof on last is hard to push without Uber because you have to cram through the window with all the spam. Easy to push through with Uber because it gives you space on high ground. The map being new, it's enticing to push the window for all the high ground. People are trying to force taking that route over others and getting rolled by spam. Yeah, I think you are exactly right. On Granary, the best place to push, if you could do it, would be upper, but it's also the smallest entry, and you get nuked by soldiers. And I'm trying to recreate that level of balance. So, yeah, if you're trying to force your way through this, I think that you are probably too greedy. I think that it's situational. You know, if you can bait out their spam and bully someone off, then you can take it. But if there's a guy who's playing this properly, like literally, if I was a soldier, I could sit right here. And this is a really hard spot to beat. But if he's there, it's like, okay, bait out a rocket, bait out 2 rockets, and then go for him, you know? Like, there is something you can do. And if not, just stay here and distract. It's a 2-way window. You can be a distraction. Meanwhile, you have people, for example, I'll send someone down here and I'll counter jump the guy on the roof. How about that? That's a free kill now. Or I'll send my demo man through rollout and he can be sticky sniping the people on the roof from here while in cover. He can't even get sniped from here. And it's free damage on people standing still. Or similarly, I take a soldier in here, I high bomb turn around the corner and I bomb them. So I do think there's options for dislodging someone up there. Much better than you could on a map like Granary. Because you're just in a sniper sight line if you want to peek on that map. So, yeah. Let's keep going. There's only a few left. Only a few more pieces of feedback. Okay. It needs some work. It feels unfinished and there are weird platforms everywhere that scouts love. Damn those scouts and their platforms! Second and last are extremely close from each other, making it easy to get rolled if you lose. Lots of players on second. It feels labyrinthian at times. Lots of spots on mid feel like kill boxes, especially as you come out for the mid fight. So you kind of roll out on mid, then there's like walls in front of you. It is hard to mitigate that. For sure. It's hard. You get rolled if you lose a lot of players on second. You know, that is a lot of last points. One thing I have seen is that the spawn on last is potentially slightly too long. I could see the spawn being shortened by like 1 second. Because I do think that I've seen people get like 20+ second respawns to defend last. And that's a little brutal. That is a little brutal. However, second being close to last, I mean, the point is at the far end of this section, and then you have to cross the lobby, and then you jump in. I mean, the last point itself is fairly close to the doorways, I guess. So maybe they just feel like they're getting rolled from these doorways, and they could use just a little bit more time to set up or something. Looking at it now, I actually am really proud of the fact that the point is close to the doors. Like, that's part of the design. Because some of the lasts, like, the point is so fucking far away that it's really hard to, like, even pressure it or fight it. So it's interesting to me that some people said last was too big when it's like, bro, I can literally walk in through one of the doorways and I'm on the point within, like, 1 second. Or like one baby rocket jump and I'm on the point. I don't know about that one. Leave 1 to cap. It's kind of short if the rest of the team's already there. Yeah, perhaps that's what it is. Like the ability to roll. So I could see the spawn being shortened. And then also adding the glass on last. That would help people probably a lot as well. All right, what else do we got? The map is enjoyable. It could be fun to play. Second needs work. A little vague. It's awkward. The mid is strange and doesn't feel good to play on, and second is very hard. Hard indeed. Okay, so that's all the feedback that I have. And now perhaps I can start making some minor changes. Very minor changes, though. Maybe throw out some weird ideas that I have, too. I'm going to open up Hammer and show you guys. So here's the map in the current state. So, first idea I have to make scouts less good is actually to modify this ledge because I think it's, yeah, it is very good for scouts. So my idea might be a little crazy, might be a little weird, is to actually put a slope on the edge of it so that you can splash people who are on top, basically. Like a little miniature ramp right here. Because then you can be on the low ground and not have zero options to like hit the scout. As well from right here, like if you're peeking up at this angle, I do want you to be able to hit it. So I might have to make it even more steep than that. This is the angle where you take 100 damage rockets if they shoot straight down. So I want there to be an ability to like peek here and like hit that guy. It's a little, needs to be a little bit more steep. So I will drop this down a little bit more. There. Now if I peek this, can I put a rocket on that wall? Barely. Barely. I think it needs to come down even lower. I don't know. We'll see. This is all just theory craft right now. But this is the idea that I should be able to splash someone if they're up there. I think that would help to make scouts a little less powerful up there. But it might also create a jump from here up. We'll see. But that's idea number one. In fact, I could probably make that an even wider thing so that, see, now you lose the angle from here. I don't know. I'll just leave it like this and see how it feels. From here, you can definitely splash that and it would hit. So that's one idea. The next idea that I had, oh, you know what? I should save this as a new version of the map. So I don't overwrite the existing one. B4nny. There. Can you adjust respawn wave timers with the map config or the server config? You can adjust respawns, I think, somewhere in here. There's like, I actually forget how to do it. I always have to look up the logic stuff, but I think that one of these things controls the respawns. And then I think you can maybe like choose a certain spawn door and then have it have a separate offset from the default spawn wave. Something like that. But then yeah, there are server configs as well that change it. Okay, next idea that I have is to delete this and actually make this section a little bit more like enclosed. We'll see how this looks. It's gonna look scuffed as fuck actually, but this is just gonna be a sketch. Essentially making less room up here for people to like contest, and also narrowing the amount of room that a scout has to like play the high ground, so they can be much more splashed and forced out of position basically. That might be a little too narrow, but you know, something like this maybe. Now the scouts, if they're up here, they really don't have too many places to go. Another thing that I could do is honestly just replicate this on the other side. You know that medic jump I was showing? I could maybe bring that back too. I could even make this front ledge. This is maybe a little pushing it, but I could maybe even like make this front ledge splashable. Like this. I mean, it's gonna look fucking scuffed as hell, but you know, something like this. Now, if there's a scout anywhere on this, he's gonna have a really hard time avoiding splash. You can just splash the ground right here. Okay, next thing that could make soldier less sad on mid. I could make this roof higher. I don't see a lot of scouts going over here. If that was raised up, then a soldier could land up here or something. Actually, you know what? I'll show you another idea that I had that's sort of like in a similar vein, adjusting the high ground. But it's essentially just building the Building like a complete barrier up here that scouts can't even get onto. But maybe a soldier can. Something like this. Like a fucking god ledge. Like that. That a scout could never climb onto, but a soldier could just sit on top of. I don't know, something like this. This was another idea that I had, but I don't like it as much. It would also eliminate, well, on the one hand, it would eliminate this ledge from spamming straight down, but it would create a new ledge even higher. Your rockets would do slightly less damage, I guess. But you could drop a sync rocket in there. I don't know if I would feel safer pushing out underneath that or the old version. So it's another idea. Okay, next thing I wanted to do is close this. This thing caused me so much, it limited me so much, and no one used it. So I'm honestly thrilled to get rid of it because it did not serve its purpose. It was nothing but a disappointment. Let's see what happens when I close this in. The geometry is all weird here, but essentially what I'm going to do is... Oh, another thing that I want to try is actually to... I kind of want to revert one of the changes. I never liked this ramp. Never. I always hated it, but it had to be how it is. But now it does not have to be how it is. Things can be different. I can delete that. Actually, I should bring that back. I can delete this. And I can put this length of fence. And I'm going to do something a little crazy here. I'm going to shorten this, actually, to here. And then I'm going to... I guess none of this has to exist now. I'm so happy. So happy. I'm going to just make the ramps closer together and have the same width. This one is how wide? Oh, this one's a weird shape. It's like 90 units. Okay. I'll make this one similarly wide. 80. 96. Let's go with 80. Try the 80 width ramp. And now these will be more close together. And then I can go back to this other thing that I want to do, which is reduce this. I really want to. I really, really want to bring this back. But I don't know. People would accept me. Which is essentially putting this thing here. This is what I would love to be able to do, if possible. Because it creates more of a, like a safe pocket over here for the offense. Like take over this section of yard. And kind of stabilize here a little bit and start getting people into the flank. And they have to work a little bit more to take over this area. This is kind of what I'm looking for. That's like Metalworks Batman. High up, so spam does little damage, but scouts can't hit you. This one. Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. But the thing is, soldiers already land right here and they nuke people or they just shoot down. But maybe if it's high enough, their rockets won't do enough damage. So it might be viable. I'm going to keep it in mind. I have two different ideas. We'll see. I'll run around on them and see which one feels better. This is just also way simpler. Another thing I want to do is make this door bigger. Because it will make taking yard a little bit easier. This door is bigger. But how do I do that? Might have to shrink this one. Shrink this little section. Oh, that's going to be scuffed as hell. God Yeah, that angle is going to be annoying to work with. But it might have to be done. Can I do it on both sides? Maybe then I can keep the angle. Let's see what happens if I if I widen this a little bit. Scuffed as fuck, but let's just get a quick sketch version. I'll fix it later. Oh, this is so scuffed. This is so ugly. It's like it has fucking elephantitis. It's a little bit wider. Maybe someone could rocket jump through there now more comfortably. I don't know. This is so ugly. I'm actually disgusted by it. Please forgive me. I guess all I have to do is just move the dots. Move the dots. This door's a little wider now. Might help to push in between each areas. This is fine. What else would I want to try? This sniper sight line from this forwards. Adjusting that a little bit. I wonder if anyone ever goes in here. Sadly, I don't know if they do. What is the ramp block for for next to the cave entrance from yard? What is this for? Well, again, since the map is heavily inspired by granary, this is meant to be kind of like that shed in the yard. But... And it's also sort of a position that you could play to like maybe forward hold a little bit or contest the window, like hold. If you're trying to hold yard passively, something like that. I definitely don't want people to be able to stand on this because this is too powerful to shoot down rockets. So I'll need to figure out a way to prevent that. One thing I did want is to make it so that if you're up here, it's harder to spam into the choke. Something like this, maybe. You don't have the perfect splash angle to hit the doorway. That is too low, maybe. I don't know. I'll fuck around with it. Okay, what else was I gonna change? Maybe I could put a window, like right there. Fuck it. Let me try. It does need to be one-way glass, though, which I don't know how to do right now. I mean, that's sort of it, I guess. But you can't really see anything from there. Kind of useless. Unless you jump on top of the resupply cabinet. I mean, you could see if someone's hiding out here on this ledge above your spawn. That's kind of useful. I feel like that window needs to be down here somehow. But there's a resupply cabinet there. I don't know. I'll fuck with that later. I wanted to get rid of this. Oh, I wanted to tweak this as well. Fuck. This is a big change, though. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away with this. Because I wanted this defenders on second to feel more involved with, like, or more, you know, comfortable contesting second. And I feel like this needs to come down. Like, it needs to be lowered in order to do that. I feel like it's just too... I don't know. But it also blocks the sightline. It's complicated, man. Maybe this section needs to be raised up. I don't know. I'm going to need to think about this a little bit more. But what I'm thinking is I maybe lower this to be the same height as the point. But then raise this section up so that it's more of a like a raised continuous edge around here. You wish there was less wall next to the second point. You walk up the pipes onto the launch pad area and the point was harder to spam. Okay, let me read what you're saying. Walk up the pipes onto the launch pad area and the point is harder to spam. Interesting. I mean, I've never looked at this, so let's see. It's an interesting idea. Let's see what happens. If this wall no longer existed, what would happen? Let's say you get this now. This feels like a completely different map now. This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, sightline from this into the point. It's interesting. I kind of want to load this up and try it real quick. Let me do that. I don't know if it's gonna fucking break though. Not sure if it's a final art pass. No, not even close. This is not a final art pass. Let me see if I can open up some screenshots of what the art pass is going to look like. Okay. So there's supposed to be like this big mountain type thing going on. And there'd be like actual like cliffs and stuff. And then there'd be like a giant base here. Yeah, be a little bit more detailed. Then here, yeah, it'd be more of like this base. This thing would be more like a air vent or something. Interesting. A vault. Okay, pretty cool. It'd be more like a bunker, I guess. Here. Like inside the spawn. Like this cave type thing going on. So, that's all being done by the professionals, which is not me. Well, I broke some shit, so my bad. I'm just gonna check out some of the things that I've made and see how they feel. Hey, a window. That's kind of cool. I like it, but it's not very useful. You could see if someone's right above your spawn, though. Which is a pretty strong spot that you might want to know about. I feel like the windows need to be more like sunshine, though. Maybe this is a good enough window. And then, like, I make a window on the glass, and then you'll know if you're getting spawn capped or not. I think that could be good enough. The ramp pushed against this wall. You think it's weird floating? Well, it's inspired by Granary. Granary had, like, pipes kind of floating like that, so... Okay. So, oh my god, this looks crazy! See, originally, the problem here is sniper sightlines. Like, this is why I had to block so many things. If I'm a sniper and I'm sitting back here, I'm sorry, but you lose. So, sniper ruins this game, and it makes you have to ruin your maps. But I think this looks crazy and kind of interesting, honestly. But I don't think that at this point, this would make sense. I also really don't like how exposed you are to, like, these areas are too connected now. It just feels like you can just run this, like, weird loop. And I don't think this is what I want. This door being a little bit bigger, I can't really tell. Because the broken doorways is making it not easy to make sense of. These ramps, I kind of like them. This feels a little too short, though. So this needs to get raised up again. Oh, everything's cooked. Okay, mid. If I'm a scout and I'm up here, I do feel like I lose a lot of control. Because if someone goes to, like, the lower left, I can't just, like, shoot down at them. I kind of have to, like, force my way forward and jump like that. And that is quite uncomfortable. And I could get rolled for it. So that is effective in that regard. If I'm a scout and I get up here, though, well, you know, now you're fucked. So I would need to make sure that scouts are not getting up there if I was going to do something like that. Meanwhile, on the other side, this style, it's narrow, but, you know, there's splash. So I would feel a little bit scared to, like, walk down this. So I would kind of hesitate right here. And then I'd be getting splashed on both these. So I kind of like this one a little bit better. But honestly, I could probably combine the both of them. And it might work. So. I don't know. Some interesting ideas. But, still many things to test and experiment with. And that's about it.